According to WHO Africa, at least 15.3 million people have drug abuse disorder, and harmful use of alcohol results in 3.3 million deaths each year. Obviously, substance abuse is causing so much harm. Welcome to Healthline TV show. This show is proudly sponsored by Phyto Vegetable Oil, Indomie Instant Noodles, Cerelac, Pepsodent, and Close Up. Let's go for a quick break. When we come back, we will start our discussion on substance abuse.
Dear HealthLink, I am a teen in my second year of high school. During my first year, I met one of our seniors at our orientation who introduced me to something called Oh Help Me. He promised this would help me become smarter. I am not a very smart person, so I was excited to hear this, knowing how difficult it was for me to pass my WASI. He gave me a location around his hostel to meet him that evening. I was so excited, I invited some of my friends to join me. He was a bit uneasy seeing me with my friends, but nonetheless gave us the Oh Help Me to test. Immediately after taking it, I started feeling numb, agitated, and experienced blurred vision. I explained this to him, but he told me it was because it was my first time and that it was going to get better with time. I continued taking it. Over the course of my first year, I realized I could not go a day without it. It had become an addiction. I could not live without it. Interestingly, my grades were not good. This Oh Help Me, was it really helping me? I wondered. Why did he tell me it would make me smarter? Besides, my life was muddled by the drug. I became more isolated, always untidy, and I kept losing weight. I had to do something about it. I confided in a friend who told me I had become addicted to the drug and needed help. Now I want to know, why do people abuse certain substances? Can I ever stop taking the drug? Will I regain my health after being sober? As a parent, what will you observe if your child is abusing substances?
Viewers, we are currently at University of Ghana Medical Center, OPD Pharmacy. Doc, you are welcome to Healthline TV show.
All right, thank you very much, Stella. I'm pleased to be here.
Great. So, Doc, what are the mostly abused over-the-counter medication?
Okay, so for the over-the-counter medications, you tend to find out that the analgesics are what we normally will call painkillers, are one of the most abused medications. Okay. You find out that people are also abusing douches or medications that are used to treat vaginal thrush, vaginal candidiasis, used to treat vaginal infections. They also abuse those ones a lot.
So apart from the painkillers, what other drugs do most people abuse?
So over the counter. So aside over the counter medications, there are other prescription medications that people abuse. Okay, these prescription medications include ones that are used to manage sleep. You find out that a lot of people tend to abuse medications for sleep. Those are one of the... Those
people with sleep difficulties, they mostly just go and buy it.
Yes, so it's actually prescription controlled. But people tend to request for those kind of medications. These are well guarded by pharmacists not to go out. But one way or the other, people find their way through and get hold of such medications. So the toxic effect that comes here is that the body becomes too used to the medication. The patient becomes more addicted to the medicine. So it gets to a point where the person will be taken without the sleeping aid. The person can't sleep. So
that's when addiction comes in.
Addiction comes in. So the person is reliant on that to be able to sleep. So without the medication, the patient will not be able to sleep for days. And you see that the patient will now start becoming irritable and feeling restless and trying to get hold of the medicine at all costs.
So apart from that, what are the other implications of abusing medication?
So I'd like to take this one after the other. So the most important thing people have to know is that every drug is actually a poison. Every drug is actually a poison.
Wow, but then why are we taking the drug?
Yes, it is the way you use the drug or the dose at which you use the drug that will determine whether it is a drug or what I would say a remedy or it's a poison. Paracetamol, when overused, can put a lot of stress on the liver. Okay, so taking paracetamol too much can hurt your liver.
Okay.
The commonly abused ones on the market that include the NSAIDs, which are those drugs like ibuprofen, aspirin, and the diclofenac. You see that usually ladies who are in their menses tend to take that to help manage the pain.
That's very true. We buy it a lot.
Those medications.
Yeah.
So those medications, when abused, can cause kidney problems. They can also cause liver problems.
Okay.
And then
before you continue,
yes.
so does it mean that if I purchase it every month, I can get a liver problem, or we have certain number, like there's a specific dose that I don't need to like take more than?
Okay. Yes. So they are prescribed doses. So whenever you buy your medication, you have to ask your pharmacist how to take it.
Before you continue with your work, what's your advice to our viewers, the youth, and anyone watching you right now?
My advice for the viewers is that when you are going for any medication, you would ask your pharmacist about the right information concerning the medication, how best it's supposed to be used. Ask about when to take the medication, how frequently you have to take the medication, when to stop taking the medication, and then which side effects that when you should expect, okay, from taking the medications. One other thing I would like the viewers to know is that all medications may have side effects, including herbal medications. Okay, so people are usually of the view that when they take herbal medications, there are no side effects, and so they can drink herbal medications like it's water.
Okay.
No, herbal medicines themselves are also medicines, and when not taken properly, they would lead to you having harmful effects. So there are a lot of people who, on taking or abusing herbal medications, have developed kidney damage. Okay, so we normally would encourage anyone who is going for herbal medications to ask their pharmacist, ask their qualified medical practitioner about the medicine, and then we will be given the right information concerning the medication.
All right. Dr. Deborah, thank you so much for joining us on Healthline TV show.
All right.
Viewers, thank you so much for watching Healthline TV show. Let's go for a breather. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion. Welcome back. So I'll be having today's discussion with Justice Fiano Bubu. He is a mental health advocate and a nurse at Pantine Hospital. And I also have with me Tebil, who is also a mental health advocate. Tebil and Justice, you are welcome to Healthline TV show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Please, what is substance abuse?
Okay, so when we say substance abuse, for the purpose of our discussion, substance abuse is also referred to as a drug abuse. Okay. Okay, so when we are looking at drug abuse simply means that an individual who is using or misusing drugs illegally. So when we say illegally, it could be that the substance or the drug that the individual is using could be a prescription medication or an illegal drug. There is this young guy that I met, and he said way back in senior high school, then this young man introduced, that's the school father, introduced the guy to drugs. What can I say? I smart, and that kind of thing. So when the guy started taking the drugs, also like he was feeling a bit uncomfortable. Unlike and later without the drug, he can't even be okay in school or sell offer. So he became so used to the drug. So my question here is, why do people abuse drugs? Because this guy thought he's going to be intelligent, as the school father said.
There are some situations you might feel that way, because when it comes to my case, during school time, it started when I was in school. So during school time, I used to perform on stage. And
performing, what do you do?
I do sing during that time and dance during that time. So the day that I used and I went on stage, I performed more than what I used to do. So really? I enjoyed that feeling and that action. Is it the energy or what? Yeah, the energy level will change for that particular early stages. But when it gets to the ending stages, when addiction or drug will be deteriorated you, that is where you see the effect. You cannot perform in that action again. That energy level all will come down. Wow. And addiction will let you become an unhealthy person. That is what I would say. So what substances were you abusing? I've abused cigarettes, Indian hemp, cocaine and heroin. Okay. Yeah. Justice, so apart from these substances Ben and Kofor, ETA, UC, abuse.
So the most commonly drugs that you would have people abuse include tobacco, which doesn't look like an illegal drug in our part of the world. We can talk about alcohol, we can talk about cocaine, we can talk about marijuana. I mentioned tobacco, heroin, and even the common over-the-counter medications that we have, that people have something as common as headache, and they go to the over-the-counter to buy paracetamol.
People even abuse
People abuse paracetamol, people abuse codeine, cough mixtures, painkillers, diazepam, that the so-called blue. So these are the most common drugs that you have that people abuse in the parts of the world.
What age group or sex group are at higher risk of abusing drugs?
Okay, so research has shown us that averagely you look at the ages of 18 to 25 years. That is at the youthful ages when you have a lot more people begins to get used to these substances, which would even tend to them abusing these substances. And if you are looking at the sex that do abuse these drugs more, research also has shown us that more males abuse all these substances we are talking about more than females. So it's more prevalent in
males than in
females.
So what do you think will prompt a female to go and abuse hard drugs, or drugs, let me put it that way?
So there are a lot of things that will get an individual to even start using any form of drugs. It could be that, for example, in life, if we have life stresses that we are not able to manage properly, these stresses can get us to do things that we do not want to do. So, for example, some people have loss and bereavement issues. They are not able to manage the loss and bereavement issues properly. So they will hide behind the use of the substances. Some people may have issues with their in-law. So in our part of the world, you hear,
I've been hearing that a
so
lot.
he's not able to express themselves unless they hire a lawyer in some form of substance to be able to express themselves. So a lot of things can get people to start using these substances. So the end result is when you are using it and it's giving you that desired effect that you want, then you go to the point of either abusing it and getting to the point of addiction, which is the ultimate. And when we get there, that is where the problems begins to surface.
Right. So, Tabil, you said you were abusing drugs way back in school. How long did that take?
It lasted for 4 years.
4 years, continuously?
Normally it was an occasional way. Normally it started daily. Not almost daily, but let's say 5 times in a week. Then it goes to daily. Then it goes to, I have to use almost every time before I take an action.
As an action in sense of what?
In such a way, anywhere that you meet me, and if you search me, you have to get Indian hemp on me.
So Justice, what are some of the health, social and economic implications of using drugs?
So there are so many health implications of using drugs, as well as social and economic. And so, for example, depending on what substance that you are using, you are likely to develop different problems. Say, for example, let's look at, for example, alcohol. Alcohol, for example, when an individual starts using alcohol immediately, you are likely not to see the immediate effect or damage that the alcohol is causing to the individual. But long-term use of it can cause the individual to have health problems such as issues with the liver, because normally alcohol acts directly on how the liver functions. So you have issues with hepatitis and all that. So it has a lot of health challenges. Again, for example, marijuana. We have, even in our hospital, we have most of those cases where you have persons who have substance-induced psychosis, we call it. So it is as a result of the substances that they are using, be it heroin, be it cocaine, be it marijuana, that has triggered a mental health issue in an individual. So out of the substances, you can develop a mental health issue. Socially, there are a lot of social deviance that we can attach to substance use. So you have a lot more people become school dropouts as a result of their substance use. Some people to become armed robbers, because for most of the armed robbers would hide behind this substance to be able to get the energy to be able to do the kind of activities that they carry along. It brings family issues, it breaks the family down. And economically, Tibil will tell you, it's very expensive to use cocaine and heroin.
Wow.
And so if you are not financially strong, you are not able to.
So how are they able to afford it? They're young boys.
So Tibil will be able to give you.
Tibil, so how were you able to afford that kind of drugs?
I was handling family business. So it got to an extent I saw that I was channeling the finances of the business.
You were using the money to purchase the drugs.
So I wasn't happy with it because I don't want my siblings to grow up and say that I did the wrong thing. So that made me leave the house and went on the streets. And on the streets, I have to finance my drug use because cocaine and heroin, it involves so much of money in it.
What do you think will be the signs and symptoms, or what should a parent watch out for if their child is abusing any form of drugs?
Maybe your child will be a guy that used to go to church or used to visit the mosque, or who like friends, who are good friends, who doesn't smoke. You know them very well. And for instance, if you see there is changes in his dress style, changes in his movements, especially maybe the friends and where he goes and where he comes, and even the best thing is to be a friend with your child. That is what I say, because I myself, if I should say my story, it's a different thing altogether. I lost my mom when I was very young. So I was depressed, that is what I say. So the very first time that I used the drugs, I liked that feeling because I was that type of person who was a happy child that time. So that happiness came back to me and I wanted that feeling back again. That made me continue using.
So you thought the drug would give you some kind of happiness?
Yeah. The first usage there, I got that happiness, and that is how drug is. That is how all drugs is. That first usage, it will give you a feeling which is different from that feeling that you are in. So if you don't think very well and you don't know much about addiction and you try to stop it that very day, you continue using and you become an addict. That is what I see. So when the child behavior changes, maybe the eating starts, because when you take marijuana, you will be eating more. That is how it is. When you take cocaine and heroin, you will eat less. Alcohol, I don't know much about alcohol because I didn't use alcohol.
Justin, do you have something to add?
Yes, I think basically that's what he's just saying. So what we needed to do is that, so we say addiction does in secrecy. So for example, I'm not sure you've seen heroin before.
No.
I'm not sure you've seen cocaine before.
No.
And maybe maybe marijuana, common, maybe you may have seen.
I've not seen any of them before.
So you may be in the same house with somebody who is using these things and you would not know. So you need to know the personality of the people that you are living, your child, for example.
Yeah.
You should know that this person is an introvert. Introvert meaning that he's one that is the reserved type of person. He doesn't like too much talking. He's the quiet type of person. If all of a sudden you are beginning to see changes in the person's behavior, all of a sudden he's becoming a rowdy person, he's out there with every other person, you want to be suspicious of what is really causing my child to have assumed a new personality all of a sudden. It may be as a result of the substance use. Emphasis on maybe, because some of the substances can change a personality. So for some people take marijuana, which is weed, and they become very hyperactive. Some people to take it and it calms them down. So it could be the opposite way.
All right, so how best can we prevent drug addiction or substance addiction?
Unfortunately, the kind of substances that we have, the common ones, are mostly available. Alcohol, for example, tobacco, for example, cigarettes, is available. They are legal substances in Ghana. So when you go to a drinking bar and you are drinking, no policeman or any law enforcement agency will come and arrest you. So what can you do? You need to give proper parenting. We need to do more of what we are doing, more of education, of the long-term effect of the substance use, so that even if you are not using for now, you do not want to get into the use of this substance so that you have future problems coming to you.
All right. Tibil, so in case someone is watching you and the person is abusing drugs, since you've been through that journey before, what do you have to tell the person?
I will tell the person to say no to drugs. The early stages in addiction, you think is you are having fun, or we are drinking beer, we are having fun, but maybe the child person or the little guy person and the teenager person will think it's something which is nice and will try to indulge in it. Maybe we can manage it. We will take 2 bottles and go back to bed without no problem. But that teenager person seeing us drinking or smoking we'll use it and later we'll become an robber who might come and rob us in the near future. So it's better we advise ourselves and educate ourselves more about the effects of addiction in the society and in our lives.
So what do you have to tell our viewers watching us about substance abuse?
So substance abuse, it's a very difficult thing to treat, especially when you get to the stage of addiction. Okay. When you get used to it, it's quite difficult to come out of. So what I can say is that if you are not there yet, if you are not abusing any of these substances yet, or you are not using any of these substances yet, and you have any problem at all, speak to somebody that can help you out of the problem. The solution to the problem is not the use of any drugs, because the drug that you start using today may have future repercussions on you in the near future, say in the next 5 years or 10 years, when you get you hooked to it. All right, to Bill and Justice, thank you so much for joining me on Healthline TV show. You're welcome. It has been an interesting interaction with Bill and Justice. Thank you so much for watching Healthline TV show. This show was proudly sponsored by Phyto Vegetable Oil, Indomie Instant Noodles, Cerelac, Pepsodent, and Close-Up. Join me next week for another interesting episode on Healthline TV show. Healthlink, everything on health.